The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops began its spring meeting today. A key question is whether the bishops will commission a document regarding the Holy Eucharist.
You desire justice for all. Enable us to uphold the rights of others. Do not allow us to be misled by ignorance or corrupted by fear or favor. Unite us to yourself in the bond of love and keep us faithful to all that is true.
Thank you for joining us.
Any proposed draft on the meaning of the Eucharist would likely not appear for consideration until next fall, when the USCCB plans to reconvene in Baltimore. And joining us now to talk more about the General Assembly is Bishop Thomas Paprocki from the Diocese of Springfield in Illinois. Your Excellency, welcome back. Thank you so much for your time today. As we mentioned, today is the first day. What items were discussed and how are the meetings going so far?
Well, we got off to a rather unusual start. We spent the first hour approving the agenda, and that normally takes about 30 seconds. But there was a motion by Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky of St. Louis that was seconded by Cardinal Tobin of Newark, proposing that when we get to the agenda item on Eucharistic coherence, the doctrine committee is working on, that there be unlimited discussion, that every bishop be given the opportunity to speak. Well, we've got over 300 bishops on that call, and that would amount pretty much to an Episcopal filibuster to just keep talking about that issue. And so even the debate on whether or not to approve that motion took up almost a full hour, and then it got voted down. So that motion failed, and we will have our discussion then later in the agenda, towards the end of the agenda, to talk about the proposed statement or the doctrine committee that the doctrine committee is working on.
Well, speaking of that discussion tomorrow on Eucharistic coherence or the importance of communion to the life of the Church, tell us why that topic is so important, especially now.
Well, what we see is that the question is certainly prompted, the urgency of the question is the fact that President Biden and other Catholic politicians are taking a position that is very contrary to church teaching, especially with regard to marriage and transgender issues and same-sex marriage and pro-life issues. And so that's just one issue, but we're also seeing the question that we really want to address the whole understanding that people have of the Eucharist, do people really understand what the Church teaches about the Eucharist, and our own actions must be consistent with the way we live our lives, our faith, our actions must be consistent with each other. And so it's an important issue, not just for politicians, but actually for every Catholic to really look at what we understand by the Eucharist.
Yeah. And as far as the General Assembly, what are you personally looking forward to the most? What are the issues that are really on top of mind for you?
Well, that's a very important issue, but there are other issues that we'll be looking at as well. There are a number of translations of documents. For example, we've been working for several years on a new translation of the Liturgy of the Hours, the divine office that clergy and religious pray every day. And so we're getting to the last stages of that. So hopefully we'll get that document approved, those translations approved. And then also there's a document on the a draft of a pastoral framework on marriage and family life, and that's another issue that's very pressing for us today in our world. So I think there's other issues that we have to look at in addition to the question of Eucharistic coherence.
And before I let you go, Your Excellency, is there any indication on if or when the meetings will return in person? And what are your thoughts about that, gathering in person compared to virtually?
Well, the plan is that we'll be back in person in November at our Baltimore meeting, and we normally meet twice a year, so the June meeting and the November meeting. This meeting is still being done by Zoom, and yes, it makes for some awkwardness and always the challenge of speakers not unmuting their microphones and things like that. Plus, there's the additional factor that we can do the official business over Zoom, but there's the unofficial conversations that take place during the breaks and during meals where you can discuss a lot of things informally, and that simply is not possible over Zoom.
Yeah, it certainly can be a challenge. I know we've all experienced this during the pandemic. Well, thank you so much for your time, Your Excellency. We always appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. God bless you.